Hello and welcome back to 12 Days of Anime 2018. Today it's day 5 and as such I thought I'd talk about 5 of my favorite moments that occurred in anime this year. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? Now, the first moment that I want to talk about is from Food Wars or Shokugeki no Soma during the latest season, and the moment in question that I want to talk about is when Isshiki-senpai got serious with one of his opponents from Central. This moment is one that I've been waiting for from the manga for quite a while, and seeing it animated just got me pumping good because, you know, Isshiki-senpai, he's just that character. He's really laid back. You just never see him serious ever. He's just happy and jolly all the time whenever he's on screen. I mean, he's not really on screen that much, to be fair, but because he's not really a main character of the story, he's more of a secondary character, you know, a side character, but a very significant one at that. But just in that season, during the regimental Shokugeki, you know, the really big Shokugeki that happened during the latest season, we didn't really get to see the end of it, but it started where, you know, we have the rebels, as they call it, versus Central. And when Ishiki's match comes up, it is a very big moment for him because we see how Central is insulting the Polar Star dorm, and Isshiki, he's fine with being insulted himself, you know, let him put all the blame on him, trash him as much as you want, but say a word about his roommates at the Polar Star dorm, and you are going to get Isshiki-senpai's attention. This guy is going to look at you and be like, bitch, time to get serious. And he was exactly as he has described. He has looked at him and declared war on this guy. And you know, the first thing you see after he declares war on this guy in Central is he takes his filleting knife and he has, at the speed of sound, he has totally fillets the fucking eel like some champ, you know. Now, it was a lot more intense in the manga, I will admit that, but the anime did a great job regardless, and you know, I just liked seeing that moment in the anime because, you know, that's just one of the things with manga, you know, obviously it's just still images, so you don't really get to see anything moving, you don't have any music in the background or anything like that, so it was just a really interesting moment to really see animated and to be able to compare that to the source material, of course. Now, the second moment that I want to talk about is from Attack on Titan, the anime, the latest season again, and the moment in question is when Historia, or Krista, whatever you prefer to call her. I mean, her actual name is Historia, so that's what I'm gonna call her. She pretty much makes up her mind, you know, when she is down in the cave with her father and with Eren being strapped up in chains. She's being asked to take this injection and, you know, receive this Titan power so that she will eat Eren and her father's plans will commence. But she doesn't really do that. Instead, she takes her time really thinking about it, and she makes up her mind that Eren is not to be eaten, he's to be saved. She will not give up who she is. She will remain Historia. She will remain exactly the same person she is, even if that means having to betray her own father, and that's exactly what happened. And I really liked seeing that because it shows really good development and progression from Historia's side, as well as, you know, having that really epic soundtrack in the background, something we didn't really have in the manga. And Attack on Titan is just one of those series, you know, that me personally, at least, I prefer the anime greatly over the manga because I tried reading the manga of Attack on Titan. It just doesn't work for me. I mean, it might just be my preferences, you know, and you know, what I prefer in the manga, because the chapters just feel so stupidly long and dragged out in my opinion, but in the anime things just move along very smoothly and a lot better. And this moment certainly was an upgrade from the manga because, I mean, the sound, like I said, the soundtrack in the background is probably one of my favorite soundtracks that Attack on Titan has produced, period. Like, I don't think I could say that this is a bottom tier soundtrack from the series. It is definitely one of the better ones, and of course they picked the perfect soundtrack for this said moment as well. You know, it's not just that it's a good soundtrack, it also fits the very nature of the scene with such perfection. And then, you know, just seeing how well it is animated and just the moment itself, you know, the content of the episode is just so good because she starts to become a lot more independent than what she previously was. You know, previously in Attack on Titan, you had seen Historia clinging on to someone else a lot of the time, like you saw her a lot with Ymir, for instance, which kind of gave people the idea that this girl will need some protection. She's not really that independent. But this episode, this moment really changed that up quite a lot, because we see how that very element of her character changes entirely, and that's something that I really enjoyed seeing. The next moment I want to talk about is from the 7 Deadly Sins, or Nanatsu no Taizai season 2, and I think a lot of people can probably already guess what moment I'm going to be talking about, or at least what character I'm going to be talking about. It's Escanor, because Escanor, he is just such a beast. He's such an incredibly presented character, in my opinion. You know, you can have whatever opinion you want, you know, how well written he is or whatever, don't really care about that, but the way he's presented and introduced into the story is something that really fascinates me, and always has, you know, ever since I read this in the manga and saw this in the anime. Escanor's introduction is just absolutely phenomenal. Maybe not the greatest introduction in anime history, but it certainly was a great introduction nonetheless, and I just liked seeing that, you know, because he is the sin of pride, and they really depict his pride with such greatness. For instance, the moment when he is, you know, introduced as the sin of pride, you see how he pretty much just laughs off this villain and just absolutely rips him apart, like he's absolutely nothing to him, and he really has this outgoing personality that he is above you. Like, you really feel that Escanor is condescending upon you, like, all the time, because he will pretty much push you down. Just being near you, you feel like you're beneath him. Even as a watcher or reader, you really feel Escanor's presence. His aura is just pure masculinity at work. The fourth moment that I want to talk about is from a place further than the universe, and I am gonna talk about this series in another video from 12 Days of Anime as well, but just gonna give this moment because this is such a good moment that I cannot not have it in this video, you know what I mean? And it is from the 12th episode, I believe, when Shirase, she finds her mom's computer, and, you know, ever since the series begins, you know, we get the sense that she wants to find her mother. You know, that's the whole plot of the series, essentially. I mean, she wants to go to Antarctica with the hopes that her mother is alive, and when they get there, you know, she finds her laptop and she boots it up and logs into her email, and that's really when this particular moment that I want to talk about begins, because it is at that point, you know, when you really find out the truth. You know, reality really hits Shirase like a brick, and, you know, it is such an emotional moment that it's that typical moment that would make you cry. You know, for those who do cry watching anime and stuff, this one is definitely one of those moments, because, I mean, even the character in the story cries. I mean, come on, that must mean you would cry too, right? No, but it's such a great moment because she had such great hopes that her mother would be alive, and that she had read all of her emails, you know, hoping that she'd be clinging on to her daughter as she waits for her to arrive in Antarctica so that they can be reunited. But that wasn't really the reality of what happened, you know. So you could argue that this series did not have the happiest ending of all time. However, it was a fucking phenomenal anime, and yeah, I just wanted to really have this moment within this video because it is such a powerful moment, an emotionally impactful moment that just makes you remember this anime for what it was. You know, this is definitely one of the better animes of all time, in my opinion. Okay, so the last moment in anime 2018 that I'm going to talk about in this video is from My Hero Academia. Not to really necessarily think that this is the best moment out of these 5. These moments are not listed in any particular order. It's just the final I'm gonna mention, and it is their second round between Bakugo and Deku. Now, if you like My Hero Academia like myself, this moment was probably your favorite throughout season 3 because it is the biggest moment, well, in the series, really. It is one of the bigger moments, even in the manga, to be fair, that's really happened, because it is the fight between the two when Deku isn't at a massive disadvantage. You know, they're actually relatively equal in terms of ability, whether it's, you know, based around luck or quirk power versus skill level, you know, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that they are very close in overall ability in this fight, and that is something that I really enjoyed because we actually get to see how Deku would fare against someone like Bakugo in a fair fight, you know, when they're actually relatively close. Now, Bakugo definitely has a lot more skill than Deku does, but Deku's quirk is obviously a lot stronger, or at least has a lot more hidden potential within it, because it is a stockpiling power that has been passed on from user to user, so obviously it has an edge, you know, against any other quirk that's really out there as far as we know. But he can't control all of that power, which obviously balanced things out quite a lot. But the very heart of this fight is of course that Bakugo finds out that Deku's power isn't his own and it is been passed down from All Might, and Bakugo is even more determined at that point to defeat Deku because he wants to be stronger than All Might, and this is the power that All Might had been using as the symbol of peace. So if he can actually muster enough strength to beat Deku at his fullest, then he will essentially still fulfill his dream to be stronger than All Might, at least, you know, whenever Deku reaches his full potential. So their rivalry really starts with this fight. You know, before this fight, the rivalry wasn't really a real rivalry because Bakugo was so clearly ahead of Deku at that time, but now they're actually, as I said, relatively equal. Wouldn't say exactly equal, but relatively equal. And it was definitely my favorite moment in My Hero Academia this year. I mean, wouldn't say the best moment in anime 2018, but still in My Hero Academia, there was not a single moment that really was better than this. A lot of people would say All for One versus All Might was better, but I really disagree strongly at that. Alright, that has been day 5 of 12 Days of Anime 2018. I hope you liked it. I'd love to hear about your favorite 5 moments, or at least 5 great moments that you liked in anime 2018 down in the comments. I'd love reading those. So yeah, with that said, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and don't forget to tune in to day 6 of 12 Days of Anime tomorrow.